going to talk about least common multiples and greatest common factors. This is going to be really important in the next unit when we talk about fractions and we have to reduce fractions or get a common denominator to add and subtract fractions. So we'll see that a little bit in the next unit. So let's go ahead and talk about least common multiples and greatest common factors. So the least common multiple, or LCM, is the smallest multiple of two numbers. So for example, we have 15 and 10. So 15 times 1 is 15. 15 times 2 will give us 30. Times 3 is 45. Times 4 is 60. And we can keep going. Well, let's do 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And again, we can keep going. So we want to find things that are in common. So we have the 30s in common and the 60s in common. When we talk about the least common multiple, we want the smallest multiple. So we don't want the 60, we want the 30. So the LCM is 30. So we also have greatest common factors, or GCF, the largest factor of two numbers. So for example, in 40 and 50, we're going to figure out what the factors are. So 1 goes into 40 40 times, 2 goes into 40 20 times, 3 doesn't go in there, 4 goes in 10 times, 5 goes in 9 times, and that brings us to meet it in the middle. Same thing for 50. 1 and 50, 2 and 25, 3 doesn't go in there, 4 doesn't go in there. We have 5 and 10, 6, 7. So that'll bring us to the middle. So looking at this, we want to see what numbers we have in common. We have 1, 2, 5, we have 10. So we want the greatest common factor. So we want the greatest or the largest number. So the GCF of these two numbers is 10. So let's look at this by practicing finding the GCF, and then we'll look at some multiple choice questions. So you want the GCF of 36 and 30. So we start, and again, we're looking for the greatest common factor, or GCF. So let's start by finding all of the factors of 36. 1 goes in 36 times. 2 goes in 13 times, sorry. 3 goes in 12 times. Oops, I'm sorry, that's not right. Goes in 18 times. I apologize for that. Again, use your calculator if you need to double check yourself. And then 4 goes in 9 times. 30, 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4 doesn't go in there, 5 and 6 will meet us in the middle. So again, we're looking for the greatest common factor. So let's start on this end. Oop, I left out a number here. 6 times 6 will also get us 36. So our GCF is 6. And again, if you're looking at this and you're like, I would practice going through in your calculator and saying 36 divided by 2, 36 divided by 3, 36 divided by 4, and keep going. All right, let's look at another one. Let's look at 32 and 10. We're looking for the GCF. Let's find all the factors of 32. 1 and 32, 2 and 16. 3 doesn't go in there. 4 goes in 8 times. 6 doesn't go in. 7 doesn't go in, so that meets us in the middle. So then we also have 10, 10 and 1, 2 and 5, and that'll meet us in the middle. Nothing else goes into 10. So looking at this one, they actually have a very small GCF. And sometimes that's fine. Sometimes there'll only be GCF of 1. All right, so I'm going to have you go ahead and try one problem like this on your own, and then we'll do some multiple choice. ahead and find the GCF of 24 and 30. So I'm going to go ahead by starting to figure out all of the factors of 24. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. So for 30, we did this earlier, so you should have this in your notes. 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 5 and 6. So looking at this, our GCF should be 6. All right, so let's look at this question. It says, which number is a factor of 14, but nots are important to point out in problems, because sometimes they'll throw a not in there in the question and it'll throw you off. So this one has multiple choice answers. So A is 4, B is 7, C is 3, and D is 5. So let's start by looking at factors. So factors of 14. So 1 and 14, 2 and 7, 3 doesn't go into 14, 4 doesn't go in there, 5, 6, none of those go in there. So we want a factor of 14. So our only choice is 7. And let's see, is 7 not a multiple of 2? Yep, that works out. So our answer is going to be B. So let's look at another one. We have, what number is a factor of 24 and a multiple of 6? 8, 12, 10, or 7. So let's look at those factors. We did this earlier as well, so you should have this also in your notes. 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. All right, which one is a factor of 24 and a multiple of 6? So looking at this, let's look at our multiples of 6. 6 is a multiple of 6. 12 is a multiple of 6. 24 is a multiple of 6. So which one of these is a factor of 12 and a multiple of 6? Or, sorry, a factor of 24 and a multiple of 6. It's going to be 12. So our answer is going to be B. So I want you to go ahead and try one of these on your own, and then we'll come back and review it. Question together. Which number is a factor of 44 but not a multiple of 2? So let's go ahead and figure out our factors of 44. 1 and 44, 2 and 22. 3 doesn't go in there, 4 goes in 11 times, 5 doesn't, 6 doesn't, 7 doesn't. I think that's it. So we have 1, 2, 4, 11, 12, and 44. So let's eliminate anything that's not one of those numbers. So we can eliminate C and D. All right, so we're left with 4 and 11. It wants to know not a multiple of 2. So let's do some multiples of 2. 2 times 2 is 2, or 2 times 2 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8, 10, 12, and we can keep going. So let's eliminate anything that's on this list. 2, 4, so we can eliminate A. So our answer is B. All right, so that's the end of Unit 3. In Unit 4, we'll be going ahead and looking at some fractions.